Developing news coming out. We are hearing that the White House is briefing Trump's administration on nuclear threats, and this is coming out today, December 24th, 2024. Merry Christmas. White House warns weakened Iran could strike back with a nuclear bomb. Finer. Pakistan is also developing a long-range missile capable of hitting the United States, and Trump has a chance for diplomacy with a weakened Iran, the White House says. Now, I'm going to be sharing with you the latest articles, the headlines, video footage coming out on this as we're hearing that the Biden administration is letting the Trump administration know as they're preparing to transition power that there is a threat coming from the Middle East against the United States. And this is just days away. Take a look at these headlines with me. Weakened Iran could hit back with a nuclear bomb. Trump is told by the White House. You can see this coming out December 22nd, 2 days ago. Biden administration says briefing Trump's team on a real risk of Iran building a nuke. And they are saying that they are just days away. Iran could have a nuclear weapon in days. Former Israeli ambassador tells the United States. You can see this coming out just yesterday. And also we're seeing an editorial. The escalation of Iran's nuclear ambitions is a call for decisive action right now. They are warning that Iran is in a very weak position, that they are backpedaling. They might be in a place of desperation. And we're hearing that a lot of people might think that this is good. They're getting pushed back. Well, they're saying this could be escalating them to get a nuclear weapon and to use it right away. This actually could be putting them in a corner where they might want to attack the United States and Israel with a potential nuclear weapon. So like I said, though, I'm going to be sharing with you guys the latest information. The articles are going to be linked down below. I'm going to share with you the video footage. And also, we have been hearing these warnings now, not just from Iran, but from all the adversaries of the United States. Take a look at this. I just shared this with you a couple days ago. We received another warning, World War III risk erupting. Vladimir Putin stokes fresh fear with chilling new warning coming out December the 22nd, 2024, as we are hearing that Russia also causing a lot of concern with the conflict that is taking place between them and Ukraine. And I've been sharing with you the updates coming out as we have heard from the expert, Gordon Chang. He has been sounding the alarm for the past week or so, letting everybody in the United States know that China wants to go to war with the United States and they want to unalive Americans. These are the warnings that we have been receiving from him, and he has said that he believes the drones are from China. The drones are a precursor to war. Make no mistake, he said this does not normally happen. He says the White House, they are gaslighting us. They are keeping things from us, just like we heard from Trump, just like we've heard from the mayor of New Jersey, just like we heard from the CEO of that military commercial grade drone company here in the United States. They are saying they know what's going on. They're keeping it from the American people to try to keep us from panicking. And he is saying these are a precursor to war. Consider it that the United States is about to enter into war. His exact words were, we are about to have a hit. We are going to get hit here on U.S. soil. And he said, we are about to be attacked. So a lot of warnings coming out about Russia, China, and now we are hearing that Donald Trump, he has been briefed by the Biden administration as they're preparing to transition power, and they are warning of potential nuclear weapons that could be days away that could be used against the United States and Israel. So a whole lot coming out on this. I'm going to be sharing with you, like I said, the latest headlines are going to be linked down in the description below, so that way you can see them for yourself. And I'm going to share with you the latest video footage coming out on this as well. Now, if you appreciate that, do me a favor, take a quick second. If you haven't done so yet, please hit that like button for me. Helps spread this out further so more people can get the latest information as to what is going on. Also, subscribe to stay up to date. It's totally free. Why not? I'll keep you up to speed on everything, so that way you know exactly what is taking place. And we've been hearing these warnings for a while now. We've heard from the FBI, and we've heard the warnings coming out saying, watch out for Christmas, for New Year's, Inauguration Day, that these are potential times where we might see some form of an attack from our adversaries. There could be physical or cyber attacks on U.S. soil, or also military assets around the world. But I'm going to be sharing with you what is coming out on this right now. And again, If you appreciate it, take a second, hit that like button. I know today is Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas. I hope that you and the family are having a blessed time, but there is news coming out as to what is going on, and I want to make sure that everybody is aware of what is taking place. And again, if you appreciate that, hit that like button to stay up to date, totally free. Hit the subscribe button. All the articles are going to be linked down in the description below, and a lot of people have been asking about those iodide potassium tablets. Those are linked in the description as well. And I've got two different ones, one for adults. It's a small little packet. You can go ahead and get those tablets. It's like $15 with the Amazon link. And there's another one that's approved for all ages, so you can get them for kids as well. I think it's like $20. You can get it from Amazon. Go ahead and get your hands on those just in case of any radiation exposure. God forbid that should happen, but God forbid that it does happen and you are not ready. So those are available down in the description. Pamela, thank you for the $14 super chat. Thanks for working on Christmas Eve. You are very welcome. Just want to make sure that everyone is aware of what's going on. I will continue to keep you guys up to speed on everything so that way you know exactly what is taking place here. As we're hearing, this could be days away. And what perfect time, for them to potentially attack would be when everyone is celebrating during the holidays, not suspecting, not ready. And a lot of people speculating today. If you did not hear earlier today, the American Airlines stoppage, FAA grounded all flights. They were unable to board passengers, to load luggage, to work with the computers. Massive outage that happened. An hour later or so, they said they were able to get things back and rolling, but it caused about 2-3 hour delays for everybody across the nation using American Airlines. And so far, we're getting no information. Just it was a technical issue, but some speculating this could have been a cyber attack. We will see. And if it was, they likely wouldn't tell us. But then it comes out several months later that these big corporations, they're getting hit with cyber attacks, claiming it's a technical issue. And then later on, we hear they were in fact compromised. So we will see. Like I said, I will keep you guys up to date on everything so you know exactly what is taking place. And I see Lester saying, I'm ready. Let's do this. Yes, sir. And that's what I say here on the channel. Don't be scared. Be prepared. We're going to be ready for anything. I'm going to keep you in the know of what's taking place because I believe that knowledge is power. We're not going to be afraid. We're not going to be scared. We're going to know what's going on, and we're going to make sure that we have things set in place like having those tablets, having extra water, extra food, having paper maps, having flashlights, batteries, candles, having the EMP-proof fabrics in case there was an EMP to take place. Those are linked in the description as well, making sure that you have your resources ready for you and your family. But like I said, let's go ahead and get to the latest so that way you can see it for yourself. And let's start off with some video footage as we're hearing General Jack Keane saying that Iran is very, very vulnerable right now. They know it, and that is why we're hearing these warnings of potential nuclear bombs that could be coming out in days. And these are the briefings, the warnings that came out to Donald Trump as he's preparing to transition to power. Let's go ahead and take a look.
If you're Iran right now and you're looking around at the fact that your conventional capability has been reduced, your proxies have been reduced, your main client state has been eliminated, Assad has fallen, it's no wonder there are voices saying, hey, maybe we need to go for a nuclear weapon right now. It's a risk that I'm personally briefing the incoming team on, and it's something that is the consequence, not of Iranian strength, but of Iranian weakness.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says the risk of Iran resuming its pursuit of nuclear weapons could be immediate, adding it could be an opportunity for President Trump to hammer out a nuclear deal with Iran. General Jack Keane joining us now to weigh in on all of this. General, thank you for taking time. Merry Christmas. The world is facing a precipitous time when it comes to what's happening with the threat of nuclear weapons proliferating. What do you make of what Jake Sullivan had to say there?
Well, he defined the reality of what's taken place. I mean, Iran is back on its heels in a way it's never been in 44 years since the supreme leader and the radicals took over the country. Both of their proxies, their main proxies, Hamas and Hezbollah, have been decimated. They've lost their strategic platform, Syria, which was the main platform for them to be able to dominate and control the Middle East. They are defenseless at home. The military's always been weak, Griff, and their investment has been rockets and missiles for the conventional military, and obviously the same for their proxies. But the reality is, Israel has stripped away their air defense system, so the leadership in Tehran is not protected from an air attack. Their nuclear sites are not, nor are their rocket and missiles production sites, some of which Israel destroyed on the last attack. So they are very, very vulnerable, and they know it. So what option does Iran have left? Move to a nuclear weapon as soon as possible. They've always wanted a nuclear weapon, been in pursuit of it for decades. Why do they want it? For the same reason other countries like them have wanted it, to guarantee the preservation of the regime. So now that they're back on the heels, this is more of a desperate situation. What is really happening? Iran is pursuing this nuclear weapon covertly at two sites, Saranjan and Parshan. Those are sites that have never been inspected by the IAEA ever. So that is ongoing. The current administration is aware of it. The incoming administration is aware of it. What are the options? I think I know where Prime Minister Netanyahu is. He wants to take down these nuclear sites sooner rather than later, and he doesn't trust Iran to dismantle the system if we use coercive diplomacy. That is the other option. Send a message to the Supreme Leader. President Trump leads that message, maybe signed by Netanyahu, and tell them he has an ultimatum. Dismantle your sites by a date certain, submit to inspections by the region, by the United States, by IAEA, UN inspectors. If you don't do that and you don't stop your malign activity in the region, then we'll cripple your nuclear enterprise using kinetic strike. That, I think, is what's in front of us. I think the incoming administration, in talking to Prime Minister Netanyahu, are working the options, and they'll eventually present those to President Trump for decision.
General, a week ago on Monday, I was in Mar-a-Lago at that press conference with the President-elect Trump, and he was asked, would you consider a preemptive strike on Iran for this very reason? And he said, I'm not going to answer that. Why would I answer that question? But as you sort of lay this out, is that something that the incoming administration really needs to take a hard look, given what you know about the timeline and how fast this may be advancing?
Well, no, that's what I just said. I mean, they absolutely are looking at it, and they're working up options for the president to consider it. And I think it'll be very much in conjunction with what Israel wants to do as well. The problem the Israelis have, they do not have the capabilities to really do the necessary damage to these sites. There's somewhere in the neighborhood of a dozen nuclear sites as part of the enterprise. And some of those are deeply buried sites with very thick walls to protect them. We have the kind of munitions that can penetrate that system. Obviously, we can give them to Israel, or we can participate with Israel in such an attack. It would not be an attack, that would be comprehensive against the entire regime. I think it would be a more focused attack at dealing with this enterprise and maybe rockets and missile productions. I doubt seriously if they would go into Tehran and take down leadership targets and other targets in that vicinity, although that would be available to them. And certainly knowing that Iran is defenseless, it is a target they could strike with some confidence in accomplishing its mission. But I think it would be limited, likely, to their other strategic targets.
All options on the table. General Jack Keane, thank you very much. Have a Merry Christmas.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, as we are hearing that Iran could be, in a couple days, immediately ready with a nuclear bomb. Now, in addition to that, we've also heard the warnings of those being snuck over to the United States. And let me know your thoughts on this. I find this very interesting. Before I went live, I was taking a look at some updates regarding the drones, and the United States has become very, very quiet on this. Yet, we're still seeing these sightings taking place. Various drones are out in the sky. There's video footage of what appears to be orange lights, large orange lights that are just kind of hanging out. And we had heard the warnings that these could be U.S. drones from our government. They're keeping us in the dark on this. This is just a theory that they are going around and they are potentially nuke sniffers looking for some sort of nuclear bomb that could already be here. Do you think that this is taking place right now? We are hearing that there are nuclear briefings that are taking place right now between the two administrations, the Biden administration giving information to the Trump administration, and Iran is also one of the primary ones that they're concerned about that has sleeper cells that have come over into the United States that could be looking to do physical attacks, potentially similar to what we saw with 9/11, but actually walked in to our U.S. soil to create and wreak havoc on the American people of the U.S. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But there you heard him say that also right now, Iran is very vulnerable. We have seen them fighting with Israel, and with the fighting that has gone on, we've seen Hezbollah absolutely devastated. Hamas pushed back greatly. The Houthis have been hit as well, and Iran itself has been hit, and we heard that they crippled the backbone of their missile systems. And even we heard that there potentially was a secret nuclear facility that they had that was not a part of the agreement that Israel hit as well. So they have absolutely been crippled recently. And we're hearing that they're becoming desperate, backed into a corner, and they might be responding to the U.S. and Israel with nuclear weapons here. We're hearing in the coming days that they are just right there. Now, we're going to be getting to the details in the articles, but they're saying the uranium enrichment that they have is at roughly 60%. They need to get it up to 90 to have the capability of having at least a dozen nuclear weapons. We're hearing it is very possible. Julia, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. Thank you for keeping us in the stay prepared, not scared. Keep looking up, Saints. Amen to that. Thank you for that $10 super chat. I appreciate that a ton. Julia, I will continue to keep you up to date and make sure that we are prepared and not scared. Now, in addition to that, like I said, regarding the drones and potential nuclear threats, do you think that is what is going on? Do you think that these are U.S. drones that are sniffing out potential radioactive materials or suitcase nukes, dirty bombs? If so, put a U.S. in the comments for these being U.S. drones. If you think that there are adversaries, put Iran or China or Russia or whoever you think the drones belong to. But these are two major theories that are at right now. And we had heard that expert come out and say, listen, regardless of if these belong to the United States or a foreign adversary, these are the preparations for war. There is an attack coming to U.S. soil. And he said he believes this could be an EMP or a nuclear attack. We need to prepare now. And we're hearing that the briefings are coming out between these administrations that this could be coming on the way. And I see Mike, I see the Dear Leader, I see Tracy all putting the U.S. I see Gene Art saying China. Let's see here. What else? Somebody's asking about a dragon. I'm not sure what you're asking there. Zach says USA. Greg says USA. Greg says USA, China, Russia, Iran, any of them. Tracy says US. Yes. And like I said, it's been very odd. We have not heard very much from the United States as of recently on this. They're just coming out and saying, hey, you're confused. These are planes. These are hobbyist drones, commercial drones. These are stars. You guys are wrong. Now, actually, I just saw that over the weekend, there was an individual, I can't remember, I'll have to pull up the article and I'll give you guys more details on it. The latest I've seen with the drones, they are saying that the White House, the Pentagon, the Department of Defense, I believe it was a military asset, they said that they think our government is full of S. They said that they're spewing out S, and it's all baloney because there's this individual that was reported said, I saw it with my own eyes. These are not hobbyist drones. And again, this was just this weekend. He said, I was out on the ship, and there was dozens of these drones that were following our ship very closely. He said I could see them. They were 7 feet wide. They were huge. They had the red, white, and green lights, just like you see in the video footage. He said there's no way these were planes. There was a ton of them hovering over. He said, I'm not an idiot. You can't gaslight me. I know the sounds of drone propellers. These were not planes. He said, this is real, and they are lying to us. But like I've said, I've been checking now, and it seems like it's getting very quiet on this, kind of like they're just saying, nope, you guys are all, they're just gaslighting us, saying you guys are just seeing stars or planes, and there's not a whole lot more reporting coming out on it. Now, like I said, I'll keep you up to date on that because that is a major concern and a major concern of a lot of people regarding what is going to be unfolding with the drones. They're still going on, even today, Christmas Eve, yet we're seeing very little reporting taking place on it. So as information comes out, I'll be sure to keep you guys up to date. Yeah, and I see Silent Guard saying, Steve, the Pentagon has denied every country possible, including the U.S. So they're telling us they're not the United States. They're not a foreign adversary. They are no threat, but they don't know who they are. And they're also saying they are not aliens. So what are we to believe? And just like we heard from Trump and several others, they are lying to us. They're keeping information from us. And actually, I was taking a look at polls, and they're all saying, yeah, they're totally lying to us. So it is up to us to make sure that we have things set and prepared, and we do our research to make sure that we know what is going on. But like I said, I'll be sure to keep you guys up to date so that way you know exactly what is taking place on this. But they're keeping very quiet on this right now, and it is the day before Christmas, and they're still going on at this moment. Now, like I said, though, we're hearing that there are briefings coming out to the administration, the incoming administration, regarding nuclear threats that could be coming to Israel and the United States with Iran just in days. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this article so that way you can see it for yourself. And as always, these articles are going to be linked in the description below. I cite the sources, put it on the screen, read right from it so you can see it's the latest. And if you appreciate that, I just need one more like to get to 900 while we're live. I would appreciate that if you appreciate the content. Now, the article says, White House briefs Trump administration on the nuclear threat. Now, you can see this coming out today, December 24th, 2024. It says, Washington, with less than a month until Inauguration Day, the White House is discussing Iran's potential nuclear advancements despite recent setbacks in its proxy wars with Israel under the incoming Trump administration. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan briefed President-elect Donald Trump, warning that Iran's losses, including Hamas's and Hezbollah's defeats, recent Israeli strikes on Iranian military facilities, and the fall of Assad in Syria, could push Tehran toward nuclear weapon development. Now, the White House warns also about a Pakistan threat. The White House is also concerned about Pakistan. U.S. Deputy National Security Advisor John Feiner called Pakistan an emerging global threat, citing that Islamabad is developing long-range ballistic missiles capable of reaching the United States. So again, just to clarify, these nuclear threats, these warnings coming out there, not for Israel. They are for the United States, in addition to, potentially Israel. But they're saying, hey, United States, these are threats that are coming. Once a key ally in the fight against al-Qaeda, Pakistan has raised alarm in Washington due to its advancing nuclear weapons program and growing ties with China. And as I mentioned to you, China coming up quite a bit recently as wanting war and wanting to commit attacks on U.S. soil. Major warnings coming out from Gordon Chang. Iran nearing weapons-grade uranium watchdog. Trump has warned that the world could be moving closer to World War III, with some Republicans urging him to put more pressure on Iran, including potential military strikes. Now, the United Nations nuclear watchdog reports that Iran has enriched uranium to 60%, nearing the 90% required to produce nuclear weapons. So we're hearing that they are very close at this time. U.S. intelligence estimates that further enrichment could provide Iran with enough material for about a dozen nuclear weapons. While Trump withdrew from the Iran nuclear deal during his first term and imposed restrictions, Biden's team suggests Iran's weakened state offers Trump an opportunity to pursue diplomacy. So there you have it, you guys. We are hearing that they're saying that they think maybe right now this could be an opportunity to try to get them to some form of diplomacy, to talk them down, to negotiate things. Yet at the same time, they're also warning that they could be working towards a nuclear bomb. We could be putting them in a corner or in a position where they're saying, hey, we need to get a nuclear bomb and we need to strike. We will see. Let us pray that it is not that they are going towards the route of a nuclear bomb, but let us pray that there will be some sort of diplomacy and negotiations and some sort of an agreement where we can have things calm down and we don't have to worry about the threats of potential nuclear weapons. Now, in addition to that, here's a little bit more coming out from Yahoo News on this as well. As I mentioned, this coming out over the past couple of days, all over the news media headlines, that Donald Trump is receiving a briefing from the Biden administration about the threat of a nuclear bomb. Weakened Iran could hit back with a nuclear bomb, Trump told by the White House. Now, Iran could move to build a nuclear bomb after being weakened by wars in the Middle East, the White House has warned Donald Trump. Joe Biden's national security advisor said that he had briefed the incoming president on the risk of Tehran obtaining weapons. It comes as Mr. Trump is reportedly considering airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities when he becomes commander-in-chief. Jake Sullivan, the White House National Security Advisor, said that he has told the Trump team to be vigilant for the threat of nuclear escalation. And let me know your thoughts on this. We're seeing very, very different approaches from the two different administrations. On one hand, you have the Biden administration that is saying that they want a ceasefire with Israel and the proxy groups and Iran. We had heard the Biden administration tell Israel, do not hit their nuclear facilities, do not hit their oil refineries, do not hit their military bases. And they actually offered them a compensation package saying, Israel, if you do not hit these very critical locations for Iran, we will give you more funding. We will give you more defense systems. We will help you out even more if you try to de-escalate the situation despite the back and forth tit-for-tat retaliations taking place. Israel saying, no, thank you. The Biden administration even threatening Israel, saying, we will not provide you with additional financial support. We will take away your arms agreements if you do not provide more humanitarian aid in the Gaza Strip. So the United States very strict with the current administration, Biden saying to Israel, we will not help you if you continue this fighting. We will also we would also suggest compensation packages if you can de-escalate the situation. Yet, on the other hand, we have the Trump administration, Donald Trump, coming out and saying, you can see it right here, and he has vocalized this. He is saying it comes as Mr. Trump is reportedly considering airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. When he becomes the commander-in-chief, Trump is saying, hit those nuclear facilities, hit those oil refineries. Now is the time to hit them and make it hurt. This is a very, very huge opportunity, and we should take advantage of it. Hit the enemy right now while they're weak, make them hurt, take away their ability to come back and hit us with nuclear weapons. We heard Trump say this is not only an existential threat to Israel, but to the United States, as Iran shouts death to Israel, death to the U.S., calls Israel the little devil, calls the United States the big devil, and he is saying hit him and hit him now. Let me know your thoughts. Who do you agree with? Do you agree with Donald Trump that we should go ahead and give it to Iran, hit them hard, take away their nuclear capabilities, strike them right now while they're in a position of weakness? Or do you agree with the Biden administration to go the route of de-escalating the situation by trying to reach some sort of ceasefire agreement and talking? If so, put a 46. 46, if you feel that the current approach to the conflict in the Middle East with the Biden administration is the way to go. 47, if you agree with Donald Trump, hit Iran, hit them hard, hit them now, take away their ability to potentially use nuclear weapons here in the future. Let me know your thoughts. And I see Kathy saying Trump is equaling peace through strength. And I see somebody saying remove Palestine. Let's see here. No, stay out of other countries, says Strategy. So varying different opinions on this. But I see Mark Cooper, Welder Rich, Greg, Irene, Preston putting the 47s. Oh, Preston putting a 46. 47s coming in. People saying they agree with Donald Trump. Hit Iran now and take away their ability to even use nuclear weapons at this time. Now, reading on, the article says, Jake Sullivan of the White House National Security Advisor had said that he had told the Trump team to be vigilant for the threat of nuclear escalation. Observers feared that the loss of Iran's key allies may prompt Iran to accelerate its nuclear program as a means of defense. So again, we're hearing that they're in a weakened position, but this might be pushing them into a corner where they might feel the need to go ahead and get that nuclear bomb and use it against Israel or the United States. Iran's position has weakened following Israeli strikes on its proxies, Palestine's Hamas and Lebanon's Hezbollah, and the fall of Bashar al-Assad, the Iran-aligned Syrian president. Mr. Sullivan warned that there was an increased risk that Iran might abandon its promise not to build nuclear weapons. It's a risk that we're trying to be vigilant about right now. It's a risk that I'm personally briefing the incoming team on, Sullivan said, adding that he had also consulted with U.S. ally Israel. He added that given Iran's weakened state, Mr. Trump, who takes office on January 20th, could also persuade Iran to commit to dismantling its nuclear capabilities. However, the president-elect and his team, they have been assessing Iran's diminished regional position and are now considering airstrikes on nuclear facilities, the Wall Street Journal reports. It would mark a breach of the long-standing U.S. foreign policy of containing Tehran with diplomacy and sanctions. Mr. Trump has told Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli prime minister, in recent calls that he is concerned about Iran achieving nuclear capabilities, the journal reported. And so Donald Trump's position on this was, why don't we just let Israel go ahead and hit them? Go ahead and let them address this. This is not only helping out Israel, this is helping out the United States as well. Marco Rubio and Mike Waltz, the nominees for Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, have consistently taken hardline stances on Iran. Now, both men criticized Joe Biden, the U.S. president, for pressuring Israel to avoid bombing nuclear facilities when it launched a retaliatory airstrike in October. Mr. Trump said at the time that Israel should hit the nuclear first and worry about the rest later. And so there you can see the very different approaches. Biden saying, do not hit the nuclear facilities. Trump saying, hit them first, worry about what's going to be coming after that. Take away their ability to retaliate with nuclear force. It signals that even if the U.S. does not engage in airstrikes against Iran directly, it would likely give Israel more freedom to strike Tehran than the Biden administration. The UN's atomic regulator warned on Tuesday that Iran has already reached the cusp of obtaining nuclear weapons. So I saw the questions in the comments, does Iran currently have nuclear weapons? The answer would be, we believe no. However, now we're hearing it could be yes, that they have reached that, or they could be reaching that in the coming days. This is the briefing warning that we are hearing that Trump has received from the Biden administration. There was no point reviving a 2015 diplomatic deal agreed by then U.S. President Barack Obama because Iran had dramatically expanded its production of uranium and is practically at the same level as nuclear-armed states, it has said. Now, in a further sign of rising tensions between the powers, Tehran on Saturday formally protested against the arrests of 2 Iranians accused of transferring sensitive U.S. technology. We consider both the cruel and unilateral United States sanctions against Iran and these arrests to be contrary to all international laws and standards, the foreign minister official said. Now, on Sunday, Mr. Netanyahu vowed to retaliate against the last remaining arm of Iran's axis of evil by striking its Houthi proxies in Yemen. The rebel group struck Israel's commercial hub near Tel Aviv the day before with what is said to be a ballistic missile, injuring 16 people in the process. So there you have it, you guys. More information coming out on this as we are hearing that we are being briefed about potential threats that could be coming here, that there is a real risk, and it is coming in just days. Now, take a look at this article coming out just yesterday. You can see December the 23rd, 2024, and it reads, Iran could have a nuclear weapon in days. Former Israeli ambassador to the United States has warned. So we're getting briefings from the Biden administration and warnings from Israel about Iran and nuclear weapons and the risk, the threats that are on the way. Iran could have an operational nuclear weapon within weeks, maybe days, a former Israeli ambassador to the U.S. has said, as Israel closely watches whether Iran could quickly pivot and produce such a weapon before next month's change of administrations in Washington. Michael Oren told Newsweek that Iran will be dreading President-elect Donald Trump's return to the White House, adding that Tehran wouldn't dare to make the final push toward an operational nuclear weapon once the new administration takes over. Iran says its nuclear development, which had been curbed by now lapsed restrictions, is peaceful and not intended to make weapons. But Iranian officials have started to publicly float whether Tehran should abandon this track, and analysts say that it would not be difficult for Iran to take the final step toward a weaponized nuclear program. Iran had enough highly enriched uranium to make 3 or 4 relatively low-yield nuclear bombs, according to expert estimates. Now, Iran may not have decided to make a nuclear weapon yet, but Tehran has certainly done its best to make sure that it could do so very rapidly, said William Albuquerque, a visiting fellow at the Henry L. Stinson Center and a former director of NATO's Arms Control, Disarmaments, and WMD Non-Proliferation Center. Now, there is not a lot of time at all until January 20th, when Trump will be inaugurated, said Oren, who was ambassador to the U.S. from 2009 to 2013. But it's enough time for them to make a nuclear weapon if Iran resolves to do so. This is a point that I can't stress enough, that we're in a very perilous period, he added. I don't think that they'll dare to do this on Trump's watch. And let me know your thoughts. Again, put a 47 if you agree. If you feel like with Trump, he's going to be putting fear in Iran and that they won't go this route. But they have been emboldened by the Biden administration. The weakness that we're hearing of the Biden administration that has allowed other nations to step up and go ahead and kind of do very aggressive, bold moves that they typically wouldn't do under Trump. If you agree that Trump is going to come in and address a lot of this, like I said, put a 47. If you feel like no, things are going pretty well as they are, put a 46. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And also do me a favor if you haven't done so yet. I see we got about 3,300, almost 3,400 people with me live. Hit that like button if you haven't done so yet. Help spread this out further and subscribe to stay up to date if this is your first time here. Now, although Israel has an incredible degree of intelligence insight regarding Iran, Israeli authorities may not know if or when Iran decides to move forward with a nuclear weapon, or instead. Officials and experts stress that it is not clear whether Tehran has determined to push through the final stages towards a nuclear weapon. If they do, though, we're talking about weeks, maybe days, until they have an operational nuclear weapon, or instead, although this assumes that Tehran has a warhead to match. Now, a 2015 agreement known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, or the JCPOA, or simply as the Iran nuclear deal, relieves sanctions leveled against Iran in exchange for new limits on Tehran's nuclear program. Also, the powers involved at the time tried to limit weapon sales to and from Iran, as well as the country's ballistic missile development. However, Iran has openly said that it has abandoned parts of the JCPOA since Trump pulled the U.S. out of the deal during his first time in office. Now, Israeli officials say the Iranian regime was severely weakened by events in the Middle East over the past year and could feel a rush towards an operational nuclear weapon may be its only viable option to display strength. And again, as I shared with you, they're saying they might be backing into a corner feeling this way after suffering so many defeats that they might feel like having a nuclear weapon is the only solution. Now, Rafael Grossi, the Director General for the United Nations Nuclear Watchdog, an international atomic emergency agency, said in November that he had visited Iranian enrichment sites at Fordow, south of Tehran, and Natanz to the southeast. Grossi said that it is approaching 4 years since Iran had stopped complying with the nuclear-related commitments outlined by the JCPOA, and the agency has lost continuity of knowledge around key parts of the enrichment process, including centrifuges. Now, Iran turned off cameras at nuclear sites in mid-2022, but the IAEA reinstalled monitoring at some sites in early May of 2023. There are deep suspicions about the other undeclared facilities in Iran, and they could have a ton of centrifuges hidden somewhere we don't know about, Albuquerque told Newsweek. What we do know, however, is that the Iranians' capability to enrich uranium more quickly has gone up considerably as they increase the number of cascades that they have throughout this year, Albuquerque said. Cascades are groups of centrifuges working together. The output in every single category of enrichment, from the lower 2 and 3% all the way up to 60%, has increased roughly 10% in the past few months, Albuquerque said. Lower percentage of enriched uranium, up to the 3.6% allow under the JCPOA, are used for nuclear power. Percentages between around 20% and the high 90s, however, these could be used for nuclear weapons. The higher the percentage, the more efficient a nuclear weapon would be. Uranium enriched to 60% could theoretically be used for a nuclear weapon, albeit an inefficient one by most standards. Now, Grossi told the BBC earlier this month that Iran was increasing its stockpile of uranium enriched to 60% to a much higher level, adding that Tehran's decision to produce significantly more highly enriched uranium was very worrisome. So they're saying that this is not just for nuclear power, that they are increasing this at an expedited speed to go ahead and rush this up to 60%, way beyond what is needed or necessary. And they're saying that this is very worrisome because this is what would be needed to cause the creation of a nuclear weapon. They have a nuclear program that has grown, has spawned in every possible direction, Grossi said. The Iran of 2015 has nothing to do with the Iran of 2025. Current and former Israeli officials described the coming days and weeks as a crucial moment of evaluation in Israel, as well as Washington and Tehran, with the latter possibility looking at how to project power in a new way across the Middle East. Iran has previously leaned heavily on its grip of regional actors like Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Yemen-based Houthis, rather than on nuclear threats. So they're saying this is going to be coming directly from Iran. But many of these groups, particularly the Gaza-based Palestinian militant group Hamas, they have been shattered by Israel's devastating military retaliation since Hamas's unprecedented October 7th attack last year. Israel also says its large-scale airstrikes and ground operations in Lebanon have strangled Hezbollah, cutting off Iran's access to what was once a formidable political and militant force on Israel's northern border. Now, U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken said earlier this month that he did not believe an Iranian nuclear weapon was inevitable, but added that it was more a question now. Now, Tehran has lost different lines of defense, Blinken said, meaning you're going to see more thinking about that. But the costs and the consequences to them for pursuing that route, I think, would be severe, he said. Now, former British Prime Minister Tony Blair told Newsweek in October that the U.S. and Israel should make sure Tehran does not get nuclear weapons, an attitude reiterated by Israeli officials. Now, if you end up with an Iran with a nuclear weapon, it'll be a very, very dangerous situation for the world, and you'll spark a nuclear arms race right across the region, Blair said. Now, how would Israel respond? The Israeli Defense Force, or the IDF, they have said in recent weeks that the Israeli military has taken out the vast majority of Syria's air defenses after the collapse of former Syrian leadership Bashar al-Assad's regime earlier this month. Now, in late October, Israel launched waves of targeted strikes on Iran in retaliation for Tehran's massive attack on Israel earlier this month. And the IDF is thought to have knocked out multiple advanced air defense systems in this attack. Former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said earlier this month that these strikes had carved out a window to act against Iran before Tehran produces a nuclear weapon. So there you have it. They are saying that right now this is a window of opportunity for them to hit them, and that they are saying that they feel like they should take it. However, the Biden administration has been greatly against this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Should we be hitting Iran, or should we be backing off and working towards diplomacy? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But we're hearing that these briefings currently are coming out for Donald Trump. They are saying, hey, right now there is a threat of potential nuclear attacks, nuclear bombs that could be made by Iran, and the Biden administration is warning them of the potential threats that are taking place right now. And as I mentioned to you, we are hearing that they are saying that it's time for a call to decisive action. The escalation of Iran's nuclear ambitions, it is time to start thinking about this and making a decision on this. And as we're seeing here, the fall of Bashar al-Assad, all the conflict that is taking place, the pressure on Iran's economy, they're saying if we wanted to hit that nuclear facility, now might be the time, especially because Iran is in such a weak position that they might feel desperation and feel the need to go ahead and just move forward with creating a bomb and essentially detonating this and causing massive havoc. And we are already hearing the warnings of potential nuclear threats here on U.S. soil. Now, we have heard this, as I've mentioned, from Russia and a lot from China recently. Now, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Who do you think is the greatest threat right now to the United States? Is it Russia? Is it China? Is it Iran? Is it North Korea? Put your thoughts in the comments. I'd like to see what people think. But right now we're hearing all of these, our adversaries are essentially threatening the United States, and we're hearing that they are working together. We have seen North Korean troops being sent to Russia to assist them in the war against Ukraine. We've also seen that there are various groups in NATO and nations that are saying they are warning their citizens to prepare for war with Russia. And we also have China that we have heard just a little while ago, maybe a month or so ago, come out and say that Xi Jinping, he has told his troops to prepare for war. And we're hearing that those war threats, those are for Taiwan and the United States. So there is a lot going on right now with Iran, North Korea, China, Russia, all of these involving the United States right in the middle of all of this with this conflict that is currently taking place. So things are escalating and significantly right now. And that is why we are seeing warnings coming out like this regarding the bombs and regarding World War III. World War III risk erupting. Vladimir Putin stokes fresh fears with chilling new warning. Now, a synopsis is that Vladimir Putin has triggered fresh fears of potential World War III with a chilling new warning. Putin has accused the West of escalating the tensions and warned that the dangers are increasing. Recently, one of the ministers in Putin's team also made a bombshell remark about World War III, saying that Russia has to prepare for war with NATO, as well as complete its war against Ukraine. So we're seeing things like this coming out as we're hearing that Vladimir Putin is threatening potential World War III. Russia's President Vladimir Putin has stoked fresh World War III fears with a chilling new warning by saying, "We will always respond to any challenge." Putin has warned that World War III could erupt if the West continues escalating the situation. And we have heard them call out the Biden administration, the United States specifically, saying that they are escalating the situation in the latest existential threat over the war in Ukraine. And we had saw this in headlines around the world. They were saying that the Biden administration, the United States, was provoking World War III when Biden gave the approval for long-range U.S. missiles to be used against Russia by Ukraine. And we had heard Russia say this was a red line, that the nation that allowed this and the nation that provided the weapons would be considered at war with Russia. And in both of those cases, it was the United States. And then we saw Vladimir Putin, in response, change the nuclear doctrine, saying that they have the right to use nuclear force if they feel that their sovereignty is being threatened, even if it is by a non-nuclear nation, but they have the support of a nuclear nation, aka Ukraine having the support of the United States. Russia is now validifying its ability to strike back with a nuclear weapon. He also accused the West of antagonizing the conflict, but stopped short of saying World War III was already underway. But we've heard a lot of people say this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below that World War III is already here. If you think World War III is already here, that it actually started back in 2022 with Russia invading Ukraine, or maybe it started on October 7th of 2023 with Hamas attacking Israel, put a 3 in the comments if you think that World War III is already here. If you think it's not, put a 4. But we are hearing that they said that he has just fallen short of saying that World War III is here. So let's see here. So reading on, it says, Putin says, we'll respond to any challenge. You know, there is no need to scare anyone, he said. But there are many dangers. They are increasing. And we see what our enemy is doing today, escalating the situation. If they want to, let them live badly. Let them escalate this further. He further added, we will always respond to any challenge, always, he was quoted saying. His comments come after Ukraine's secretive security agency, the SBU, assassinated Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov, the head of the Russian Nuclear, Biological, and Chemical Defense Forces, on Tuesday morning in Moscow. The high-ranking military official lost his life alongside his assistant with a bomb that had been planted inside a scooter. The security agency later said that they had considered the general a war criminal and a completely legitimate target, according to the Financial Times. So we're hearing that there are assassinations taking place against Russian ministers, and they are saying that the United States is escalating the conflicts. Now, in addition to that, I've also shared with you that we've heard the warnings of China, and these have been very alarming just in the past week or so. A lot coming out on this, especially tied to the drones. We're hearing that expert Gordon Chang, he's been coming out and he has been sounding the alarm, warning that China wants war and they want to attack and end the lives of American citizens. And I've had to clarify this to several people. This is not the government. This is not military assets on different parts of the world. This is specifically U.S. citizens on our soil. They are saying that they want to attack. Now, let me go ahead and play this for you so that way you can hear the latest in case you haven't seen it yet. But we're hearing warnings from Russia, from China, from Iran. And take a look at this with me just very quickly.
Well, a new Pentagon report says that China is rapidly expanding its nuclear arsenal, nearly tripling it under the Biden administration. Assistant Secretary of Defense for Indo-Pacific Security Affairs, Eli Ratner, sounding the alarm over why China could be doing this.
Expansion of China's nuclear program raises the question of what are all these nuclear weapons for? And they haven't answered that question.
Why are they doing this? Well, Beijing's move comes as also as deepening ties with Russia while increasing pressure on Taiwan. Gordon Chang is here, Gatestone Institute senior fellow, author of the book, China is Going to War. Gordon, always good to see you. Do you think it is just that? Do you think that China is preparing to go to war, potentially over Taiwan or even perhaps with us?
Well, certainly, because we've seen all the preparations for it. Xi Jinping can't stop talking about going to war. He's also engaged in the fastest and the largest military buildup since the end of the Second World War. He's stockpiling grain and other commodities. He is trying to sanction-proof his regime. He's firing military officers who are opposed to going to war. He's mobilizing civilians, and he's surveying the U.S. for nuclear weapons strikes. We see all these Chinese incursions and attempted incursions into our military bases, especially in September when a Chinese national twice tried to sneak on to a U.S. nuclear weapons base in the lower 48 states. So it's clear what they want to do. Whether they will actually do it or not is a different question, but they're making preparations to kill Americans.
To kill Americans. Are we prepared for this?
No, we're not. The President of the United States, the one with the constitutional duty to protect Americans from foreign attacks, his number one constitutional duty. He doesn't talk to the American people about this. His budgets don't reflect priorities of getting us ready to go to war. And unfortunately, we have American people who think they're at peace. But yeah, we're at peace right now, but could be on the edge of conflict.
How will President-elect Trump differ than the current policy?
I don't know. We're going to find out. I think that we're going to see more money for the military. We're going to also see an emphasis on war-fighting capacity, as opposed to, for instance, DEI and other things that the Pentagon has been pushing. But we will see how he looks at this. And his first budget is going to tell us quite a lot about it.
If you were to advise President Trump, what would you say? What would you say to him in terms of what type of policies the U.S. should follow in order to try and blunt Beijing?
First thing is he needs to talk to the American people. He needs to talk to the American people about how dangerous the situation is. That's not really his style. But the other thing that I think he needs to do is to say to China, look, we will defend Taiwan. And if we do that, China will not attack because it doesn't want the casualties, even if they think that they can take the place. But again, that's not President Trump's style. And when asked the question during the campaign, he said, I'm not going to tell you what I'm going to do with regard to Taiwan. So these are questions which remain to be answered. The one good thing is that I think he will speed up arms sales to Taiwan, and that'll be a message to Beijing. But whether that's sufficient, I'm not sure.
And finally, what do you predict? How do we go down this road? And at what point does it become untenable? And what point is there a potential clash, if there ever is one?
The problem is the world's falling apart. We've got all of these wars around the world. China's involved in 3 proxy wars right now: Ukraine, North Africa, and the Middle East, and is threatening to go to war. One thing we know, Xi Jinping may not have made the decision to go to war yet, but he's made the decision to risk war. He's made the decision to risk war with a U.S. treaty ally, which means he's already made the decision that he's prepared to attack the United States. So we have got to get that message across to the American public, and especially to the Pentagon, which thinks it's at peacetime. There's no sense of urgency that is really necessary to meet the Chinese challenge right now.
Gordon Chang with a chilling warning that China is prepared to attack the United States and kill Americans, a major obstacle and a major challenge for the incoming Trump administration. Gordon, senior fellow at the Gatestone Institute, and all.
There you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Warnings coming out about Iran, China, Russia, all of these in the past couple of days. The ones that I've been sharing with you, the headlines on, though, coming out just in the past couple of days, primarily focused on the warning, as we're hearing that the Biden administration is now briefing the Trump administration as they're preparing to transition regarding the threat of a nuclear bomb that could be on the way from Iran, that they are saying that they are days, maybe weeks, but they are warning it could be right now that they could have the ability to have a bomb that could essentially detonate against the United States or Israel. As take a look at this once again with me. The headlines, for those of you coming in a little bit late: White House briefs Trump administration on nuclear threat. White House warns weakened Iran could strike back with a nuclear bomb. Finer, Pakistan is developing a long-range missile capable of hitting the U.S. Trump has a chance for diplomacy with a weakened Iran, the White House says. Weakened Iran could hit back with a nuclear bomb, Trump told by the White House. Biden administration says briefing Trump's team on real risk of Iran building a nuclear weapon. And you can see all of these coming out in roughly the past 48 hours. And Iran could have a nuclear weapon in days. Former Israeli ambassador to the United States warns the escalation of Iran's nuclear ambitions, a call for decisive action. And as I mentioned, we're hearing the warnings coming out from not only Iran, but also Russia and China, as I just played for you the latest video footage on that as well. And we also heard the warnings coming out, and we have heard this also regarding the drones, saying that these drones need to be a warning to the American people. We don't normally see this. There's potential threats for attacks that are on the way. So they are saying be very vigilant in the coming days, for the holidays, for the New Year's, for the inauguration. Be aware. Charlie Jones, thank you for the $5 super chat. Says, Steve, thanks for everything that you do. We have to remember what that whistleblower and a few months ago in front of everyone said: be ready and they won't help. Yes, but don't be scared. Be prepared, but be ready. Totally agree, 100%. Thank you for that $5 super chat. But you guys, like I said, I'll keep you up to speed on everything. I'll let you know exactly what's taking place. If we get more information regarding the drones, I'll continue to do more searching on it because, like I said, very little coming out, yet we're hearing that they are everywhere. I just saw a report that they were following another cargo shipment. I believe it was an individual from the military, and he came out and said to reporters, they're gaslighting you. He said, I'm not a fool. He said, they're spewing S, was what he said. They're full of S. He said that what they are telling you is totally false. He said, I know what I saw. I'm not stupid. He said that these are not planes. These are not stars. These are not little hobbyist drones. These are massive 7-foot drones with propellers. They sound like drones. They move like drones. And he said, and they followed our shipment, and then they moved off along the coastline in New Jersey. So he said that the same thing that we heard from Trump and from several others. They're not sharing with us all the information that they know. But like I said, as more comes out, I'll be sure to let you guys know. I'll be following all the details and keeping you up to speed on everything so you know exactly what is taking place. And again, if you guys appreciate that, do me a favor, take a second, hit the like button. 8 more likes to have 2,000 while we are live. That would be awesome. Also, subscribe if this is your first time here to stay up to date. It's totally free. And all of these articles that I'm referencing, I cite all the sources, put it on the screen, read right from it so that way you can see it's the latest, know exactly what is going on. They are hyperlinked in the description along with additional resources. A lot of people have been asking me about those iodide tablets. Those are linked down below. One for adults and one for all ages, for children included. They're like $15-20. It's like nothing. Make sure you get your hands on those because God forbid there was some sort of radiation exposure that took place here on U.S. soil. You want to make sure you have them handy. Protect that thyroid from getting absorbed with radiation. Those are linked down below, along with additional resources like EMP-proof fabrics and other things you might want to have ready. But like I said, I'll keep you guys up to speed on everything, let you know what's going on. But that is the latest, you guys. Hope that you have a blessed Christmas Eve. I will catch you guys tomorrow. Have a blessed Christmas. Catch you in the next video. Take care, you guys. I'll keep you up to speed and catch you in the next one.